All right, right back here on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh, Donnie Rightside, and Joe Lisi. And we now bring in NFL insider Adam Kaplan. And Cap, I feel like all season long, the three of us have all taken chances at kind of, hey, Cap, the Kirk Cousins thing's going bad. And you've understandably been like, yeah, but they're paying him way too much money. Apparently, it went so bad, Atlanta said, we don't really care about that. What have you been hearing around this whole situation in Atlanta?
Boy, Kevin, let me give you the Cliff Notes version. We don't have an hour. So here's what happened, okay? Here's what happened. Cousins have regressed so badly over the last 5 weeks that they kind of felt, you know what, this is time. Now, I know the way it works with NFL teams, so I'll never say publicly anything badly about the Giants, but let's be real here. The Giants' defense is decimated by injury, okay? All three levels of their defense. This game is at home. Michael Penix is an outstanding passer. We'll get to him in a second. But let's get back to Cousins here. You are right. The way you set it up, I know you're trying to be funny, but you're actually right. They're not worried about the contract anymore. They own $27.5 million next season that's fully guaranteed. The 2-year take, which is incredible, is $90 million. It's not $90 million, which is incorrect. People are saying, oh, it's $90 million this season. It's not. They guarantee $90 million, 45 and 45, really, if you want to look at it. 45 million on average per season and $90 million total over the first 2 seasons, fully guaranteed. There's nothing they could do. You know, if they cut him, they owe him it. That's not what they want to do. But here's the problem with this contract. And it's just like with Derek Carr's when he's with the Raiders. Kirk Cousins has a no-trade clause. So basically, even if 3 to 4 teams in March, Kevin, go to Mike McCarthy, his agent, and Cousins and say, hey, listen, we got 3 to 4 teams here that are willing to work with us. Would you work with us? Kirk could say, no, you can do whatever you want. I'm owed this money, and I want to control where I go. And he does. That's what a no-trade clause does. You control your destiny, not the club. So the leverage clearly is here with the player, no matter how much the Falcons feel like they'd rather not cut him. There's no way he's coming out as a backup. I know there's stuff out there. It ain't happening. $27.5 million for a backup, forget about it. You're not paying that.
If we are looking forward to and I'll double down on that Atlanta scenario, I've said it multiple times this week, Adam. I think it's the healthy move for the organization and the right move. But talking about the future, like Arthur Blank is the owner. Obviously, he's going to call a lot of shots when you're writing a check that big. Terry Fontenot, the general manager, and also Raheem Morris is the head coach. Any internal turmoil that shows like this move was healthy and that these two will move forward? Talking about the head coach and the general manager, or do we think that they may part ways with one or maybe both of these once they say, well, we got this wrong, or is the head coach going to survive and the GM going to be out per se?
Oh, no, the head coach, Raheem Morris, isn't going anywhere. Now, I know publicly Morris, look, let's put it this way. He didn't exactly back Kirk Cousins, which is, if you're Kirk Cousins, a reason to tell the Falcons, nope, I'm going to use my no trade clause. I control my own destiny here, but I don't see Terry Fontenot being in danger here. See, I remember, and Kevin remembers this, when we had the draft coverage here on SportsGrid, we were shocked. We couldn't understand why in the world would you select Michael Penix when you've guaranteed $90 million no matter what. But the owner, as I understand it, Arthur Blank, he signed off on it. You're right, by the way, Donnie, the way you set it up. The owner has to be on board. All major transactions, the owner is always going to be involved. He's going to want to know not only what they want to do, but they want to know the why. But their thought process, as I was explained back when it happened, if they figured Cousins would be the starter for 2 seasons, he's clearly not going to be. And they basically, based on contract structure, they would turn to Penix in year 3. But that's not what's happening here. And clearly, yes, Fontenot missed badly on this. But the hope here with Penix, let's talk about him for a second. Super aggressive thrower. I know he's a little bit older, but that doesn't matter at quarterback. He's had an injury history. That does matter, but he's a super aggressive thrower. I saw this in person at the Senior Bowl last January. Boy, did he throw the ball really well. And look, the hope here is that Kyle Pitts gets the ball more. Because Cousins simply, through this 5-game slide here, as you notice, Pitts, more often than not, doesn't get the football. Darnell Mooney, who's been a really good acquisition, he needs to get the ball more. And obviously Drake London does as well. So the feeling around the club, as I'm told, is behind the scenes, Penix has done very, very well in practice. They're hoping that it manifests today against a beat-up Giants defense.
Cap, I want to keep it there with Penix, and the reason why I bring that up is if this was the thought process all along, right? why didn't they allow Michael Penix the opportunity to throw in the preseason? I watched the game at the end when they were getting blown out by Denver, 38-6. The last 8 minutes, all he's doing is handing the football off. Why didn't they allow him game opportunities to throw the football if this was the big picture outlook and their season was reeling?
They did it actually in the joint practices, particularly one against Miami, as I understand. They also, in training camp practice, he got plenty of reps just to show what he can do. But see, Joe, the problem is they made this commitment with Cousins. And remember, coming back from the torn Achilles, he had to show that it was right. And I know talked to some people who've graded their tape. There have been some people around the league that didn't quite like the scheme that they've asked Cousins to run. It's West Coast, but the type of throws they asked him to make, it just didn't work. Overall, very inconsistent. It's what's ironic is, Joe, his best game as a Falcon was against the team that they're competing against in that division, that crazy game he had against Tampa where everyone thought Cousins was back. And by the way, the Falcons own the tiebreaker. They absolutely do because of that win. They're still, look, they're a game behind here. It's going to be hard for them to win the division, but they're still alive for a playoff spot. And that was their thinking. Give Penix a chance in a high leverage situation when they're still in the playoff race. I get that part of it.
Cap, just quickly, because you know kind of how my mind starts to spin. When we do winners and losers for this, I truly believe that Brock Purdy is a massive loser in this situation because I now think Cousins would gladly take any contract to play for Shanahan, and Brock versus Cousins isn't a debate. But Brock at a record-breaking deal versus Kirk at $1 million or $2 million, I think is a break. Is there any early indication, Cap, on Cousins' landing spots?
Well, there's no question about it. We know that Kyle Shanahan absolutely loves Kirk Cousins. This was this guy in Washington. It's a guy he really liked when he became the Niners head coach, but it just didn't work out. That obviously would be one. Now, I'm pretty certain there's a contract offset where the contract for Cousins, you could do what the Steelers did for Russell Wilson because the Broncos own him all this money. That you just signed him for the veteran minimum. So the contract isn't the issue. Kirk still has enough left in the tank that he could be a starter. But and remember, you'll be a year and a half to 2 years away from that torn Achilles, and that's the big deal here. He'll want to go somewhere he'll be able to compete for a starting job. And by the way, in my count as of now, talking to clubs, there are 7 teams that would tell you they're not quite sure who their starter is going to be next season. And here's the ply. Demand is outliving supply, and that's why Cousins will have a little leverage here when he goes to another team.
Cap, let me ask you a quick question about another quarterback situation, which is a good problem to have. It's in Minnesota. You draft your young quarterback, and J.J. McCarthy goes down with an injury. Sam Darnold has been great this year. Let's say they get to an NFC championship game or even a Super Bowl. Is there a chance that Sam Darnold is back in Minnesota, or is he definitely going to be hitting the free agent market and not back in Minnesota?
Donnie, you set up correctly, and I know the way it goes in coaching, because coaches will lobby because you have J.J. McCarthy, by the way, under contract for 3 more years plus a 5th-year option plus 2 franchise tags, obviously, if he plays well. Again, they're not even close to making this decision, but I'm glad you set this up, and we'll revisit it on our playoff shows here on Pro Football Today. My sense is, knowing the way coaches work and they get in the ears of general managers, they're going to want to go with Sam Darnold, who, by the way, is my most improved player when I vote for the Pro Football Association for Pro Football Writers. I absolutely will have Sam Darnold as the most improved player in the National Football League on offense. He has to be. Who else could it be?
I would tell you if you give me more time, Cap, I'll take the challenge. But he's certainly in the race there. It's gonna be incredible to watch all this stuff play out too. And Cap, I know you have some notes on the quarterback class, and we'll get to that. One thing that's very interesting is some of these guys already saying they're going to go back to college. So I think maybe next week we can get into that angle, as you said right there. We always appreciate it. NFL Insider Adam Kaplan. We've got the Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chao, up next.
you're not riding with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Where have you gone? Don't tell me it's your Philadelphia Eagles, Donnie. Who's the team for you?
You see that Vince Lombardi trophy that sits back here? That's a replica. And that's something that the Philadelphia Eagles have won as recent as 2017. The Buffalo Bills are notorious for making it to the Super Bowl and coming up lame, which they might be able to do. But my question is, can the Buffalo Bills even get to the Super Bowl?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred, or just worked on the side, or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting at the hot takes are going to be here all long.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
Yeah, this is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashed in.
Only on SportsGrid. The holidays come with a touch of craziness, from unwrapping the latest storylines to the best betting insights. We've got everything you need to crank up the excitement this season. We can't promise there won't be a little yelling.
Play a decent schedule. They had maybe 500. Just look at us.
This just ruined my day.
But we can guarantee a whole lot of fun. Merry Christmas from all of us at SportsGrid.
Back right here, it is Pro Football Today. We're live with you on this Sunday. Really fun to talk to Adam Kaplan around everything involving the Kirk Cousins. Also, I will take it as a major win that he didn't immediately tell me I was nuts for suggesting Kirk to the Niners could be on the board.
Mm-hmm.
I think, anything is open with a situation as surprising as that. We now are joined by the Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chao. Again, SixScore.com. They've been on fire all year long with the guaranteed picks. SixScore/picks. You use the promo code SportsGrid. You'll get that free week of picks as well. Doc, we appreciate you stopping by here on a Sunday.
Thanks for having me, and hot start to the week. 3-0 on NFL so far, 4-0 counting that Ohio State college football game.
Whoa.
All right, Doc. Dive in. Doc,
CFP time.
You guys probably had a Carson Beck analysis then maybe before everybody else while Georgia was pretending he was A-OK?
Oh, yeah. We had it in game when Texas was still playing Georgia. I literally was screaming at the TV in the living room of a huge Texas fan. Run blitz when Carson Beck came into the game. There's no way he was going to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And Georgia, they scored the touchdown there in overtime.
Yes, they did. Doc, we'll get to some big games. I want to ask you about one quarterback, though, specifically for today's slate, and that is Geno Smith, because on prime time, people saw him exit early. Now the projection seems to be that he's going to play. I don't know if that's because they're just begging that it not be Sam Howell. What are you guys feeling about Seattle's quarterback?
Look, sometimes what we don't see is as important as what we do see, right? And we never saw anything big on Geno Smith when he left that last game and got carted off. Never saw anything significant. And thankfully, all the MRIs and imaging came back, nothing significant. And as a matter of fact, he was full practice all week. So full confidence that physically Geno Smith is fine.
Let's see what happens there. We're looking at two quarterbacks that should be fine today in Philadelphia and Washington, Doc, and I'll start the conversation off right away. Jalen Hurts with that fractured finger. How do we think that plays into today? A little bit cooler temperatures. Does it affect him at all?
I don't know. Maybe a little bit ball handling and ball security. It won't affect his throwing at all. And you've probably also seen the reports of Josh Allen since week one with a broken hand, left hand. that he's played through. And obviously he's played well. He's over that now. So I don't think that's a big factor in this game today at all.
Couple quick picks here in this game. Taking a look, let's just say, at the wide receiver position, A.J. Brown banged up a little bit with a knee injury. And also, Zach Ertz getting cleared, it looks like, to play today for Washington. Was that a surprise at all, coming back so quickly from the concussion?
A little bit of a surprise for Zach Ertz. He was a late developing full practice return and clearance through the independent narrow. A little bit of a surprise for Zach Ertz. No surprise on A.J. Brown being able to play through. We said in game, even though it was a pseudo hip drop tackle, and he did fumble the ball as a result of it, his left leg wasn't planted in the ground, which makes the escape from injury better. He just got landed on rather than twisted up.
Doc, significant game in Atlanta. Michael Penix will make a start on the 6th score. You have Atlanta graded as a 92.8, New York Giants 75.2. Beat up on the defensive side of the ball, but Tyrone Tracy's been banged up. Will he play, and will he be 100%?
He is playing through the ankle. He's not 100%. This is a matchup of the healthiest team in the league, 6-score-wise, against the least healthy in the league, 6-score-wise. Now, I get it. It complicates things with the rookie quarterback. Who knows what he's going to do? But some people in Atlanta have to think he's better than Kirk Cousins to make this move because they're still in the playoff hunt. They're one game back of Tampa right now. But this is our biggest 6-score gross mismatch of the week.
Doc, I just want to ask you, we've been talking about Kirk Cousins in regards to just how he's looked. Have you seen anything injury-wise that suggests that he wasn't the same quarterback prior to the injury? And I'm not talking about the Achilles. Outside of that, any injury or limit in his capacity moving forward?
Didn't really see anything, perhaps, a little bit of father time.
Yeah, so we'll see then, I guess, how Kirk looks potentially next year with the new team. Doc, one spot where you guys are very close with the 6 scores seems to be Cincinnati and Cleveland, yet the certain odds makers seeing things much, much differently there, perhaps where you guys enter seeing an edge with that matchup?
Yeah, well, Njoku is actually playing after all with his hamstring, but, a lot of that matchup in odds makers and sharps might be that Cincinnati almost controls its own destiny, right?
Yeah.
If they win today, they play Denver, who's the team that they're chasing for the wild card, and they have to win their final game. But in the final week of the season, the Broncos play the Chiefs. So the Bengals are very much alive here.
Yeah, speaking of the Chiefs, Doc, if I could just go back to yesterday's game, there was a lot of conversation around Mahomes. And I can see your smile, so I almost feel like you guys already had this thing nailed to rights here. They hung an 8.5 rushing prop, which someone somewhere thought he couldn't move. I think on the opening drive he had a 13-yard scramble.
Yeah, and one of the things there is with the ankle injury, perhaps they defend him differently. There's no more a spy because usually Patrick Mahomes can leak out and do some stuff. Look, what we said all along is that Patrick Mahomes is built differently, and maybe one of our biggest flatteries is NFL Network pregame used the term that we coined, which is Patrick Mahomes is Gumby. He's very collagen loose and stretchy. He dislocates his kneecap but doesn't tear anything and can come back. He's played through this high ankle before, this time not as bad as the 2023 Super Bowl against the Philadelphia Eagles. This was not a surprise to us. Of course, he threw a lot underneath and off-platform throws. He's mobile enough to get the job done, but it's always trickery that does it for him in his mind more than his physical ability, just arm or legs.
And then quickly, Doc, Tank Dell, middle next year, super unfortunate situation.
Yeah, very unfortunate. The sharp thing that you see on picture is not his bone sticking out, thankfully. It's his knee pad, edge of the knee pad. But this is a fracture dislocation type injury. He will be lucky to be ready for the start of next season.
All right, we appreciate it as always. Go to 6score.com. We'll do Sell Me Something next.
you're not riding with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Where have you gone? Don't tell me it's a Philadelphia Eagles, Donnie. Who's the team for you?
You see that Vince Lombardi trophy that sits back here? That's a replica. And that's something that the Philadelphia Eagles have won as recent as 2017. The Buffalo Bills are notorious for making it to the Super Bowl and coming up lame, which they might be able to do. But my question is, can the Buffalo Bills even get to the Super Bowl?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
Yeah, this is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. The holidays come with a touch of craziness, from unwrapping the latest storylines to the best betting insights. We've got everything you need to crank up the excitement this season. We can't promise there won't be a little yelling.
Play a decent schedule. They have maybe 500.
Oh, that just ruined my day.
But we can guarantee a whole lot of fun. Merry Christmas from all of us at SportsGrid.
All right, we're live with you right here. It is Sell Me Something time on the desk. And if you guys don't mind, I'd like to bat leadoff. Only because I'm at what would I guess be the bottom of the ladder.
Okay.
I latched onto something that I actually just couldn't resist.
Mm-hmm.
Now, admittedly, it is minus 120. It is.
Looks like a good bet, though.
Can I tell you this, though? This is an old school Mike Blewett, where he used to give you all of the reasons a bet was a bad bet and then be like, let's hope it wins. Anthony Richardson over 14.5 completions. You look at that number and you're like, was so light. Donnie, how many times this season Anthony Richardson has appeared in 10 games? Do you think he's completed 15 or more passes? An NFL starting quarterback. 10. One of the 9. We'll call it 9.
Okay.
How many times has he completed 15 passes?
At least 4 times.
Too generous.
Wow.
3 times.
Yeah.
Okay? And to be clear, okay, in the 3 games he's done it, he's thrown the ball 34 times, 30 times, and 38 times. Okay? His completion percentage is atrocious. I got to be honest with you, the more I dove into this prop, the more I'm starting to understand the Flacco move. This is insane what we have going on here. But it's 14.5. The last 5 quarterbacks to go up against this team have completed 70% of their passes. And this is just at some point it's got to break. Like, can we just get check down Charlie here? Can we stop throwing the ball 45 yards down the field? 15 completions, Lisi. Minus 120. Can I get you in on it?
You might be able to get me in on it before.
Come on.
All right, I'm thinking back to the last game I remember where he put
Florida?
No, the last time he put money in my pocket was when he was catching 4.5 against Aaron Rodgers, and he lit it up for 272 yards through the air and a touchdown on the ground. So you could get me in on that. I don't even know what Sell Me Something is anymore. I've confused it so much that I don't even know.
Stop. We're going to lose this segment. Stop.
I'm gonna confuse myself even that much more.
I'm going to give out teams.
No, he's going next because he's on the same guy.
Oh, he is? Oh, my God. All right. Okay.
Switch it over to us. Let's get the trifecta. Nobody understood at this point. But, I mean, yeah, you're right. Kevin's right. 3 for 9 at the break for 121 yards and 2 touchdowns. Feels like Kevin's like, what did I do here? Like, where did I make this mistake? So for sale for me, who I want to have, same guy, over 1.5 touchdown passes plus 215. 2 completions at the half, both for touchdowns. That's what we're looking at here. And granted, He's only done it. Let me get my show notes together. 2 touchdowns twice in 2024. So it's not like we're leading off left and right. What guys doing on a week-to-week basis. Right. It's almost like how many completions is going to take to get the 2 touchdowns.
Gotta love it.
Can I add this?
Yeah.
Sure.
You might think, you know what? Those go hand in hand. Not at all.
No, not at all.
9 for 19, 2 touchdowns week 1. 12 for 24, 2 touchdowns against New England. I can't figure this guy out. We could only do it authentically, but my goodness, would my dream have been you to come in here giving him out to throw for like 275, 300.
Cherries!
325.
Cherries!
Ring it!
That's it. I'm totally confused. I actually outsmarted myself with the sell me something. So I actually think Atlanta will run the football to take the pressure off of Michael Penix, and I think it's a lower scoring game. But if I'm wrong, he could throw for 300, and he beats up on the New York Giants secondary. They dominate. They cover the line. 300 yards, guys, plus 580 with Michael Penix. Gotta love it.
Flipping it. Dome situation, bad defense. It would have been nice to what would Anthony Richardson for over 300 pay? Probably more than that. More than that.
I'm not sure they're even giving it out. You know what I'm saying?
I'll be able to.
No, they're not. 275 plus is 920.
Wow,
it's not enough.
920.
Him to get to 250 is plus 520.
Whoa. Whoa, look at that.
You see, why'd you do that? Why'd you turn me on to this guy?
This might have to be an alt parlay across the board now, Anthony Richardson.
Hold on. Let me see how many times. Yeah. Let me see. The season
They're correlated, so you won't get a ton. But
the season high for him is 272. I don't even understand how this dude's real, man. So, Don, he's thrown for 272 as a high.
Yes.
How many other games do you think he's thrown for 225 plus? Nine full games.
3.
Or 8, I guess.
3 times.
0.
Yeah, wow.
This isn't even real.
All right.
3 bills today on deck, Joe?
Stop.
I'm sorry.
We lost him.
805 on that parlay if you put it together. Plus the 520, 250 plus, and two passing touchdowns. And the completions. Let me add in the completions. Just the completions.
They're not going to let you.
They will. They won't.
Let me tell you, one of my true gifts in this world is speaking fluent Lisi. Mm-hmm. I can't see that computer.
Spinning.
I heard a... All right, I knew that meant he was clicking. I knew that. Bing, 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 cherries.
9-1.
That is... 9-1.
275?
275. I don't even understand, man. Explain yourself, Anthony Richardson, a.k.a. Mr. Sell Me Something. Whip around's next.
You're not riding with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Where have you gone? Don't tell me it's the Philadelphia Eagles, Donnie. Who's the team for you?
You see that Vince Lombardi trophy that sits back here? That's a replica. And that's something that the Philadelphia Eagles have won as recent as 2017. The Buffalo Bills are notorious for making it to the Super Bowl and coming up lame, which they might be able to do. But my question is, can the Buffalo Bills even get to the Super Bowl?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all
people. You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
This is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. The holidays come with a touch of craziness, from unwrapping the latest storylines to the best betting insights. We've got everything you need to crank up the excitement this season. We can't promise there won't be a little yelling.
Play a decent schedule. They'll have maybe 500.
That just ruined my day.
But we can guarantee a whole lot of fun. Merry Christmas from all of us at SportsGrid.
All right, we're back to right here, hanging out, making it happen. Little pro football today. Joe Lisi, Donnie Rightside, Kevin Walsh. This slate's growing on me. Throughout our show, it's grown on me a little. Let's get into it. We begin in the NFC North. The Bears catching 6.5, 7 in their own building against the Detroit Lions. Excited to see what that Jahmyr Gibbs workload does look like. Biggest rushing receiving total on the board today. Highest anytime touchdown price on the board today to give you guys an idea of how the books are treating it. But I would lean on the Bears catching the 7 at home. They've just been a way better team.
I don't like the side, but I would take Detroit laying the 7 to the better team. And you look at Chicago, has lost 8 straight. I'm just not sure what you're going to get out of Caleb Williams and that offense. I thought they would play much better on the road against Minnesota. Didn't do that. The fact that they're beaten down, it's the end of the regular season. I'll lay it with Detroit. But to your point, Kev, I do feel that Detroit, because they do have the better quarterback, lights it up with the passing attack. Give me over the 47.5.
Yeah, well, depend. Again, we already talked about it. It is cold in Chicago, but certainly not nearly as windy as we've seen it sometimes in late November and December there. If I'm looking at Caleb Williams, over 214.5, I think makes sense. I think they'll be playing from behind, and he's still a rookie quarterback. You're trying to get as many reps as you can with him, and I do think there are some advantages now that the Chicago offense can go up against Detroit's defense here. If I had to pick a side, it's probably still would be Detroit just to win by a touchdown on the road. I think they're the better team, but Caleb over 214.5 I think makes sense too.
All right, how about this Cincinnati-Cleveland game, divisional battle? Bengals absolutely needed. I lean towards Cincinnati on a big number, but with that defense, the idea, backdoor, the whole way, I don't know then if it would make the under. I think it's a tough game there, Lisi, to see Cincinnati laying that price, because I think I earn it. They're usually an easy fade for me. I don't feel that way today.
This is one of my better picks from the side perspective. I like the Browns plus the points. I understand what you have in terms of the drop-off from Jameis Winston to DTR, but I still think they're able to run the football with Jerome Ford. They were able to run it to some capacity against a much better front seven in Kansas City last week. They only lost that game by 14. They fought in the second half, and I think they look to run the football, keep Joe Burrow on the sidelines. That means, Donnie, lower scoring game and potentially in a 10-point margin. I don't know if they win it, but I think it's going to be a 4-quarter game. Wouldn't shock me if Cincy wins 24-20.
Yeah, if there's one team that you figure would be able to give up backdoor touchdowns, would be the Cincinnati defense. But then again, you still need a competent offense to get through that backdoor. I don't know if we're going to get that. So for my money, Trey Hendrickson, one of the biggest sack guys in the NFL. DTR is running around a lot today in this game. He hunts a sack. So minus 114 to get at least a half sack or more, I think makes some sense in that spot here. But if I'm picking a side, I just can't lay that many points. Yeah. I can't lay that many points.
Totally understandable. Yeah. A spot where I think it's too many points is Carolina, Arizona. I love the Panthers in this spot here. Look, if I didn't lose my side every time I made it my best bet, I would make Carolina my best bet. But I just have there's some voodoo working against me right now, and betting on Carolina is tricky enough. But this is a team that was laying 3 last week to Dallas. We've moved 8.5 points the other way. Too far to me, Lisi.
Yeah, I would take the points with 4.5. I don't love it, but this could be another aspect of field goal type of game because Arizona does need it. They got off the mat last week against New England. James Conner with a huge performance. He could continue today. I think we get points, though. Bryce Young, a little inconsistent last week against Dallas. I think he could break out. 46.5, Donnie, 47. Give me points in this matchup, but I would take the points with you with Carolina.
Yeah, it's hard to say, because Arizona's still fighting for a lot more than what Carolina is doing at this point, but Carolina's sort of fighting for their quarterback to try to get those good numbers over the final couple games of the season and head into the offseason. But for me, Carolina is quite banged up at wide receiver. I have an affinity for Adam Thielen. I think he performs today. But if I'm looking at the 46.5, I actually trend more towards the under in that one. But finally, Trey McBride, who is on pace to have a 100-catch season and not catch a touchdown pass, I think he gets one today around that plus 115 number. I think he finally finds pay dirt.
I joked around about it being, wheel narrative. He is going to score.
They're going to force him the football.
They've all talked about it way too much. The number has dropped because of it, but I don't. When a team screams, not all we care about, but we really care about this on the 2-yard line. instead of calling a real offense, they're going to call the Trey McBride screen pass.
Tight end delay. Yep, exactly.
Whatever.
Yep.
They might hand it off to the guy.
Yep.
No, they might. I'm not even kidding.
You're right.
Like, they might do an end around.
Sneak.
I'll tell you that. I would bet, I don't know what they would give me, like 10-1, 20-1 on him for a rushing touchdown today. I would actually bet that if they posted
he should be, by the way, he should have 13 touchdown catches. He's like the perfect specimen in the red zone. Like, dude, nobody can cover him. Get him the football.
Just a different situation, man. All right, how about
those feelings?
Philly, Washington. Again, most unbiased man history of sports media. Somebody's got to be. That's why it's me. Washington team total over 20.5.
Yeah, it's a good look. I like the over in the matchup. That's one of my best bets of the afternoon. But I like the Commanders plus the points. I think this game looks a little bit differently than they did in terms of the first game in the link. I think Jaden Daniels could get through his 210.5. I altered him 250, 275 plus. This could be a shootout later today. Not to take away from what Philly's done. You just look at the gauntlet emotionally. Baltimore, Pittsburgh. I mean, these games take a toll from the emotional aspect. And again, we saw Detroit get clipped last week by Buffalo. Maybe it happens today from the spread perspective. I'm taking the points with the Commanders, but really like the total over 46.5, 47.
I do think it's going to be a close game, but again, I think the Philadelphia Eagles are winning. They're going to cover the 3.5 to the 4.5. I told you guys many times that Baltimore-Ravens game was such an eye-opener for me on the Philadelphia Eagles on what they can be. And then you just see last week against the Steelers team that's extremely physical, just beat the brakes off them. It is a divisional game. It is on the road, and a lot is up for grabs. The Eagles win this game, they win the division. If Washington wins this game, they're in the playoffs. So division teams, and I know that Washington has given them a little bit of problem over the past couple of years, but I'm done doubting the Philadelphia Eagles. Unless you're hanging a 9.5 or 10.5 where you can easily stay below that number, I'm taking the Eagles today.
By the way, I still think they're the absolute best team in football, but it's the Washington team total I feel best about. Doesn't mean I don't think Philly can get the job done in this game. How about Atlanta, New York? The Michael Penix game, I'm on his longest completion over 35.5. I still lean towards the Giants, though. Dable knows how to cover for the most part when his quarterback's not Daniel Jones. Also, as long as he doesn't have to turn to Tim Boyle like last week.
Yeah, let's hope not. But I would take the points with the Giants. Like the under 43.5. I think the rushing attacks will take over at some point, especially if Michael Penix struggles early. The fact that Atlanta needs the game to stay in the playoff race could be a lot of Tyler Algiers along with Bijan Robinson. That could be the factor to potentially cover and win this ball game. But I'll take the points with the Giants. Give me the under 43.5.
Yeah, I think Kevin was on to something, too, earlier, talking about Michael Penix with a long completion in this game, because the one thing you do know is Bijan's going to be able to run 88.5 yards as his prop. I think he gets to 100+ in this game, and then Algiers is certainly a fine backup. But at the same time, boy, when that offense is pounding you and it's straight up run after run after run, you pull that play action one time, somebody's open deep, and they're going to be able to do that in the Dome today. I do think I can't lay that with Penix in his first career start, but I do think the total is viable. Something out of the Giants.
Yeah.
The Giants, throw it all over the place. Come on. You know, I mean, just do something.
I think Drew Lock's number was 34.5 attempts.
I mean, how many, ring around the rosy over there with quarterbacks?
Hold on.
You know what I mean?
Now,
come on.
Hold on. Now you got me doing No.
What do you got?
Well, if he's going to throw the ball 34.5 times, if he's going to complete 20.5 passes, I mean, Neighbors, just how many receptions?
5.
Right? I mean, it's 6.5. He could get 10.
Think so?
Yeah, I do. I think that's the biggest selling point on that Giants team moving forward. Let's try and just sneak this in. Colts-Titans here, a.k.a. the Sell Me Something game. I will say this. I lean Indy. I'm surprised they're not laying more in this game against the Titans.
I think they start fast from last week's performance where they just allowed the second half to slip to Denver. Start with Anthony Richardson. I think it's points aplenty. Tennessee, a beaten-down football team, 3-11 overall with Mason Rudolph. I don't know what you're going to get. Love Indy from the side perspective, but love the over as well.
I'm with you guys. 42.5. You're actually going to get somewhat competent play from the Titans at quarterback, which means you should get a little bit extra points than you usually get from Will Levis. On the other side here, the Colts might not get as many points because they can't get the pick six that they probably would get off of Will Levis. But for me, minus 3.5, stop it, man. A lot of disrespect on the Colts. You're not saying I love the Colts. They win today by more than 3.5.
All right, let's take a quick break. Let's not rush through anything else here. We still got a few good games to get to. The Jets and the Rams. I think I can confidently say this is the first time we didn't have to spend extra time being like, are the Jets a disaster? We know it's yes, but they're off a win, some momentum. We'll see if they can pull off the upset next.
you're not riding with Joshie Allen.
Yeah.
Where have you gone? Don't tell me it's the Philadelphia Eagles, Donnie. Who's the team for you?
You see that Vince Lombardi trophy that sits back here? That's a replica. And that's something that the Philadelphia Eagles have won as recent as 2017. The Buffalo Bills are notorious for making it to the Super Bowl and coming up lame, which they might be able to do. But my question is, can the Buffalo Bills even get to the Super Bowl?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
Yeah, this is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. The holidays come with a touch of craziness, from unwrapping the latest storylines to the best betting insights. We've got everything you need to crank up the excitement this season. We can't promise there won't be a little yelling.
Play a decent schedule. They have maybe 500. There's no rush.
Oh, that just ruined my day.
But we can guarantee a whole lot of fun. Merry Christmas from all of us at SportsGrid.
Jets-Rams. This game might have some juice on it the more that I think about it here. This is a fun one. It's also, some are calling it, the biggest bounce-back spot of the season. Cooper's Kupp, 0 yards last week. Lisi, what's the story?
I took him 70-plus today.
Okay.
2 weeks in a row, he can't. What, 100?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
10 for 100.
100 and a score?
Let him get to 70, and I'll be happy. I think both Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp eat today. Have Adams 80-plus, Cooper Kupp at 70. We saw the Jets' offense show more consistency. Back-to-back weeks, 32 and 26 points respectively. They could get into a shootout and push tempo against Matt Stafford. Maybe Aaron Rodgers wants to show, hey, I'm still the best guy on the block and put up 30. I think we blow through this number today.
Or maybe Alan Lazard just came back off the IR. Doesn't do much, but just having that comfort blanket out there. And you're right, Joe. Last 4 games, 27, 21, 26, and 32 at home. Again, talk about that fool's gold. It's up to Aaron to sell this team where they think he's going to be good enough heading into the offseason. We all know it's probably not going to be good enough next September, but the Rams defense is susceptible. Queen Williams is out for the Jets defense. As Kevin knows, I love a running mate. The Rams should be a nice running mate today. You have colder weather conditions. Doesn't matter at this point to me. I think both these teams move the football. That total will be in play, but also the Jets total will be in play with a little teaser action.
We're going to get straight to it here in just a moment. We now get over to the 4 o'clock window of games. Seattle, Minnesota, if I'm honest, probably a little disrespected by me on this show. This is a game between 2 legitimate contenders. It probably should get a little bit more shine. It also could actually be, especially if Seattle wins it, a round 1 preview of what we could get in a few weeks' time, Joe.
This is a playoff game for Seattle. We have not seen them look good over the past couple of weeks. They got abused by Green Bay 30-13 last week at home. They didn't run the football. Zach Charbonnet got a garbage touchdown. They're going to have to get back to basics today. Run the football, keep Sam Darnold on the sidelines. They've won 7 straight, Minnesota. I just think the 2.5, 3 in that area, it's a fishy line. I would say that, people will jump in on Minnesota. I'm taking a shot outright. Seattle gets back on track. They pull out the outright win under 2.
Probably the most influential game of the day in the NFC by far is the Vikings and Seahawks. Look at the Vikings win. They're chasing down the Detroit Lions. And then you take a look at the Seattle Seahawks, who want to win to stay in the hunt for the NFC West. Rain will be in the forecast. I still do think we get some points at 42.5. But the key also, Charbonnet is the running back, but also Kenneth Walker III coming back to the lineup today. And that number is huge. The 2.5s, the 3s, the 3.5s you saw all week long, it now sits, let's just say, at FanDuel 2.5 right now. I don't like that as much as I love the 3 because I really think it's a one-possession game in the fourth quarter. I'd much rather have the full 3 than the 2.5.
And what I would say then is, right, sit and wait.
Yeah.
I can.
Oh, it'll bounce.
100%. Right now, listen, because if just for anybody out there who maybe doesn't bet sides as often, right, and sometimes it's good to do these things. If you like them plus 2.5, you have the ability to sit and wait. If it goes to 2, all good.
Yeah.
You can take the 2, right? But, you didn't lose that much. Where if it goes to 3, that might hurt Minnesota backers, and you as a Seattle backer, you're like, awesome, this is exactly what I wanted here. Buffalo in one shop, 14.5, total 46.5. Josh Allen, no interception is my favorite bet in this game. I lean Buffalo on the flat 14.
They might win. I'm taking the points with New England. The reason why I say that, you look at the dominance of Buffalo winning 6 games at home by 17.3 points per game. The emotional game last week against Detroit. Now you come back home, divisional opponent. I think there's no doubt Buffalo wins, but I still think on the road, back-to-back road games for New England, they've lost 4 straight, Donnie, a lower scoring game to keep Josh Allen on the sidelines. I could see maybe 27-16, something like that. Lower scoring. Give me the points with New England.
And by the way, you take a look at the Bills now. A lot of outlets, 14.5 they're laying now. So you're essentially looking at them 17-plus points at that point, which I do think they can do. The 46.5, I actually lean towards the under in this one. I don't know how much offense we're actually going to get from New England. Cold temperatures here. Buffalo's going to press it down. They'll be fine. They'll be in the 20s. I just don't know that counter punch is coming for the Patriots. So I'll stay under 46.5, not because of the Buffalo Bills, just because of the New England Patriots.
All right. Miami, San Fran. We're in a little standoff
Easy
here
one.
on the desk.
Such an easy game.
I still feel like I'm going nuts over this. But I really am just trying to accept I am the only one who really cares about what I'm going nuts over. Ultimately, my guys here just think the Niners win the game. It's not about who's a 1.5-point favorite. Me, if this was 1.5 Miami, I might not even touch the game. Now, Dolphins are step on a pedestal, best bet. I really do think Miami wins. Again, that's a normal disagreement. I cannot believe, because Waddle's injured, we're like, Miami's banged up. Niners should be booked as favorites.
Yeah, you were right last week with a similar line with the Cowboys in Carolina, right? So maybe it plays out where the Dolphins are alive. I just don't see it. For me, you have 2 6-8 teams. I do believe the more physical team on both sides of the ball is San Francisco. I think they're on the road, whether it be Patrick Taylor or they get a journeyman running back off the street, it doesn't matter. Still believe in the offensive line of San Francisco to run the football on the road, keep the pressure off of Brock Purdy, and I just don't believe Tua without Waddle, Tyreek Hill banged up, that they're going to put up a ton of points today. Give me San Fran in the under.
Feels like it's a battle of the tight ends to do. George Kittle on one side, Jonnu Smith on the other, stepping up in the absence of other talented wide receivers like the Miami Dolphins going to be down. Jalen Waddle in this game. Tyreek Hill seems like he's on a shoestring right now. If he's going to play, not play, get injured during the game, or not even be a factor here. I'm just leaning on the 49ers because, as Joe pointed out, I just think they're the more physical football team, and I'll lean on that. And it's a coin flip. It really is. So I'm going to take the Niners.
Yep, totally understandable. Well, again, that part I totally get. It's the way the number is. Raiders, Jags. I wish we had more time to get into this game. It's so terrible. It's just, this matters so much for the 1 seed. This very well could be the Colorado Bowl. Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter. I hope you guys are watching film on this game here today. I lean Jacksonville, though.
Yeah, you might get it. I would take the under in terms of the matchup.
He's being held at gunpoint.
That's the way I feel. Now, I was on the Jacksonville Jaguar total last week, and that flew through it. The way they lost that game in the fourth quarter, dominating and putting up yards, and then losing it in the fourth quarter in the final minutes to Aaron Rodgers. How is that team going to respond on the road? And then what are you going to get out of that offense with Aiden O'Connell? Just not sure.
It's an ugly game, but I actually don't think the Raiders should be favored, is how crazy that is. They're home, that's why they're favored. But the Raiders, their mission from Tom Brady down is, don't you dare win a football game. And they're favored. Get out of here. I can't take that.
All right, we're going to get you Sunday Night Football. best bets and anytime touchdown scorers next.
You're not riding with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Where have you gone? Don't tell me it's your Philadelphia Eagles, Donnie. Who's the team for you?
You see that Vince Lombardi trophy that sits back here? That's a replica. And that's something that the Philadelphia Eagles have won as recent as 2017. The Buffalo Bills are notorious for making it to the Super Bowl and coming up lame, which they might be able to do. But my question is, can the Buffalo Bills even get to the Super Bowl?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
Yeah, this is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. The holidays come with a touch of craziness, from unwrapping the latest storylines to the best betting insights. We've got everything you need to crank up the excitement this season. We can't promise there won't be a little yelling.
Play a decent schedule. They have maybe 500.
Oh, that just ruined my day.
But we can guarantee a whole lot of fun. Merry Christmas from all of us at SportsGrid.
Pro Football Today. Kevin Walsh, Donnie Rightside, Joe Lisi, the crew in a jolly mood.
Yes.
Christmas right around the corner as well. The crew will be live in studio on Christmas Day. We're going to be here with you tomorrow night, though, as well.
True.
Any excitement for the Monday Nighter? Juice?
We do. Yeah. What game is it, by the way? Who is it?
Green Bay, New Orleans.
Love it.
Just
You told me we
Look,
might be on the same side.
On a time-to-time
We might be on the
basis.
same side. It's possible.
All right, let me
get
get
the game.
Hold on. They made him go
Green
into
Bay.
the freezer and started calling plays yesterday. How about that?
What?
Get ready for the cold. New Orleans is ready.
Nah.
Coaching staff brought the quarterbacks in a freezer and had them call plays.
Wow, that guy.
Intel.
Get that guy. Give
Intel.
that guy the job.
Here is real intel. What Tennessee did yesterday is a sign of teams that is not ready to play. Just warm up normal. I don't want you to warm up without shirts on.
Yeah.
Like what they did that was a nightmare. Also, what it doesn't get cold in Tennessee.
Nope, never.
That doesn't feel right.
22 degrees.
Coldest game in SEC history.
There you
Come
go.
on now, SEC.
Donnie, you were upset for the SEC yesterday watching the playoff?
No, it felt good. I was always an Ohio State
great.
guy. Scarlet Red. Didn't like the uniforms, though, by the way.
Like that Texas game.
I know. You got the points. What about points on Sunday night? Dallas, Tampa, Bucks. In a way, this is kind of the trickiest spot with the division. Now, Atlanta has a very tough game remaining at Washington, but if the Bucks do lose this game, which this is a short number, and the Falcons handled business earlier today, the Falcons do go back to the top spot in the division. I lean Tampa. I lean under.
I'm with you. I think they run the football. You saw it play out in terms of their rushing attack with Bucky Irvin and Rashad White. I think that's the way to attack Dallas today. They can't put up a shootout with Cooper Rush. And the fact that Dallas with Rico Dowdle has more consistency running the football, I think it's a dead under tonight.
Bucky Irving, the key swing piece in this game for me. over 100 yards, maybe a touchdown. That's going to be the deciding factor at -3.5. I'm going to take the Buccanuers as well to sort of try to teep that stranglehold on the division, Joe. How about that?
We got to get moving, man. Let's get to the best bets here for the people. Lisi, brothers in arms today.
Yeah, I know we are. I know.
I guess I'm a pocket of the game, so I guess I'll.
So you want me to go first? I'll take the over.
I know
right?
you want to go first.
I do want to go first. Now, there's no doubt. I looked at this game all week. The first time they played in the Link, it was a lower scoring game. Jaden Daniels a little bit confined by the Philadelphia Eagles defense. They got on track and back-to-back wins against Tennessee and New Orleans. A little limited last week with 226 through the air. I think he breaks out. I don't know if they win the game, Kev, but I think it's points aplenty. They're going to have to score at least 24 to 27 points, in my opinion, to knock off Jalen Hurts. I think they push tempo at home. I think this game flies into the 50s today.
And by the way, also on that, I think it was a Thursday night football game in the division for a rookie quarterback trying to get ready for that. The full week of preparation saw the Eagles defense already. I do think that factors in as well. So there you go.
I think Philly can absolutely score in this game. But let me not mess up the order because you both are doing well. So if you believe in mojo, I'm not going to jump the gun. Go ahead, DRS. Let them know what you like.
Hey, look, just change the colors up there. Keep the numbers the same. It's 20.5, baby, and it's a team total. We're back in action for the Jets. How could you do it? The Jets are dead in the water. I understand that. But Aaron Rodgers wants to go out with 4 or 5 straight games that he's played well. You can't cut me. You got to bring me back. Devontae Adams is best friend. Garrett Wilson's out here screaming, I want to get out of here next year. So you might even remove him from the equation today. Devontae's going to have a big day. The Jets will score 3 touchdowns today. The possibility of an upset win is there for the New York Jets. Not going to go that far, but the Jets, they will score over 20.5 points today. I believe that, and I'm going with it as my best bet.
It's a good look. Connective tissues on these best bets. Commanders team total over 20.5 is my favorite wager. The Commanders have scored 21-plus in, I think, all but 3 games it is this year. Never missed it back-to-back. 6 out of 7 at home, averaging just under 30 points per game at home. And I think the way the opening game played out, similar to you, Joe, Daniels will be better, and the rushing element wasn't a factor enough. It can change this game a little for Washington here. Philly scoring is good for this number as well. Favorite anytime touchdown scores?
I'm going back to Brock Bowers at plus 190. The fact that Aiden O'Connell is under center, 243.5. I think Bowers eats today, and he'll be a main target for that offense.
By the way, Breece Hall, first and goal at the 1-yard line. You ain't getting the ball. Why? Because it's going to Devontae Adams, the best friend of Aaron Rodgers. Cha-ching, plus 130. Devontae Adams gets in.
No Lions, I just realized.
Yeah.
That's because now Gibbs is minus 300. They ruined everything.
No NFC North.
All right, how about Jonathan Taylor? Just don't drop it this week, kid. Minus 125 to hit the end zone there for the Colts running back in that game against the Tennessee Titans. Kevin Walsh, Donnie Rightside, Joe Lisi. We will see you tomorrow night. SportsGrid's coverage picks up with the NFL next.
With a touch of craziness, from unwrapping the latest storylines to the best betting insights. We've got everything you need to crank up the excitement this season. We can't promise there won't be a little yelling.
Play a decent schedule. They have maybe 500.
It just ruined my day.
But we can guarantee a whole lot of fun. Merry Christmas from all of us at SportsGrid.
I mean, this is week 16, and you're throwing this guy in the fire. I know the Giants suck, Scotty, but you got that backdrop. Just give it to Bijan 50 times if Penix isn't looking too well.
And I also think Penn State has an easy track. And I think, to be honest with you, Indiana, people are all going to say they should have never been there. And listen, I just wanted to say one last time before that happens that you can all kiss my ass.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You're not riding with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Where have you gone? Don't tell me it's the Philadelphia Eagles, Donnie. Who's the team for you?
You see that Vince Lombardi trophy that sits back here? That's a replica. And that's something that the Philadelphia Eagles have won as recent as 2017. The Buffalo Bills are notorious for making it to the Super Bowl and coming up lame, which they might be able to do. But my question is, can the Buffalo Bills even get to the Super Bowl?
The early line. only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all
people. You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
This is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid.
Well, them either.